Sometimes you're just in the mood for a sad gay movie. Well, a sad gay period piece. Because let's face it, if you're a gay character in the past, it ain't gonna turn out well for you. The history of sound is another in a long line of queer period pieces we've gotten over the last 10 years. I mean, you can go all the way back to Brokeback Mountain, but we've also had A Single Man, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Carol, Ammonite, The World to Come. Some very sad, some not so sad, some very gay, some not so gay. We also have, with this movie's two leads, two modern day queer classics: God's Own Country with Josh O'Connor and All of Us Strangers with Paul Mescal. Together, they combine their sad white boy forces for this new queer period piece, The History of Sound. So, how does this movie rate on the sad scale and the gay scale? Paul Mescal and Josh O'Connor play Lionel and David. They meet at the Boston Conservatory as music students. It's 1917. Lionel grew up in Kentucky in basically a shack, but he has a song in his heart. One night, David plays a song that Lionel recognizes, and sparks fly. Before you know it, they have a romance going on. But this being 1917, they gotta keep it on the down low. David proposes to Lionel that he joins him in the Northeast for a college project. They're gonna travel the back roads of the country to record folk songs from the locals. Throughout this trip, their bond grows strong, but life tears them apart. And these two men of different backgrounds and different views find a way in the tumultuous world to be together. That plot makes this sound like an epic romance, but the history of sound isn't really interested in event hopping as these two men live in the early 1900s. Yes, there is the shadow of World War I and poverty and the US government driving immigrants off their land. But this is a quiet story of longing and deciding what you want out of your life, whether that's romance or art. Director Oliver Hermanus keeps everything coiled up and small, and in the middle portion, when the movie threatens to open up, when Lionel goes to Rome and London and becomes a teacher, it almost started to lose me. I thought, oh no, we're going to go big. We're going to try to show this romance throughout the passage of time. And it does show it, but it always brings it back to the intimacy of where these characters grew up. This is a movie that uses the vibes of its locations to color the characters here, which means it's not always the most exciting movie. It goes at a languid pace. It's measured. Everything is deliberate, especially Paul Mescal's character, who has synesthesia. He can see music and even hear colors. So we get very contemplative moments of him where he's dancing around a bonfire or repairing his old childhood home or even anguished in the dead of night, where you get the sense that a storm is brewing in this character who's by nature very passive and quiet. And let's be honest, this movie is going to bore the shit out of a lot of people, but with the editing and the montage and the folk songs and these locations, it does cast a spell if you let it. I'm someone who doesn't mind a boring movie. It just has to take me somewhere. And this one ultimately does. This is where the Brokeback Mountain comparisons come into play, because structurally it has a lot in common with it. We do get the passage of time. One of the characters is more passive, one is more boisterous. And there's tragedy involved. Tragedy that carries into an epilogue. An epilogue that features famed character actor Chris Cooper in a heartbreaking 10 minutes. Now, some elements of this movie can seem forced, especially when the end wants to wring tears out of you. But it's more about what it represents. On David and Lionel's ethnomusicology trip, they record these songs on these wax cylinders and they keep them in this trunk. And the movie really plays with the idea of capturing moments and memories and creativity, in this case, song, in time. It's about the preservation of art. It's about hearing something and wanting to not let it go away. But like life, like romance, like the good memories of your life, ultimately they do go away. And this movie grapples with the pain and the knowledge of knowing that they do. But this movie and Brokeback and so many sad queer movies, time is undefeated. And I guess that's what affected me the most as a creator, as an artist. Once you make it, it's out there. Once you sing it, it's to somebody else's ears and it's gone in a sense. We try our best to preserve them. I mean, look at all these movies. I'm trying to preserve all the movies I love by still owning physical media in 2025. But deep down, we all remember this is all temporary. All this goes away. Me talking to you goes away. And in that sense, the history of sound captures something ephemeral, something that affected me, and something that I was surprised it made me feel. The history of sound will probably bore you to tears. I thought it would do the same to me, but I actually found it a rather lovely and quiet and still and very restrained document of what it means to love and what it means to love your art. So I'm giving it a respectable 3.5 stars out of 5. If you like this review, please like and subscribe or follow me on Letterboxd at RamirezS316. Paul Mescal, Josh O'Connor, we love our sad, pretend gay white boys, don't we?